My friends, this is the week we have all been waiting for. Uranus will never retrograde in Taurus again in your lifetime. I'm Kesenya, and I'm going to tell you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. Welcome to the Astro News and Weather Report for the first week of February 2026. This is tropical Vedic astrology, not sidereal, look it up. And yes, I'm a real person, not AI. AI channels steal the content of your favorite real astrologers. Do not support them. We're going to cover this week's Astro News first up, and then we're going to look at your personal forecast by sign. Using the timestamps, you can go to your sign, and if it resonates, please help my channel to grow by liking, subscribing, and sharing, of course, this video. Let's get going. Do stay tuned to the end of this introductory piece. I have a very special announcement for all my YouTube followers. First up, on February the 1st, we have Imbolc. This is a celebration of, in the Northern Hemisphere, moving out of the winter and into the spring. It's the first fire of spring, and I know that the East Coast of the USA will be very glad to hear of that energy moving at this time after they've been through such a terrible blizzard. On the 2nd of February, we have the full moon in Leo at 13 degrees and 3 minutes of Leo, obviously. Now, this is a very interesting full moon. There is nothing out of bounds. There is nothing aspecting within 5-degree orbs of this particular full moon. It is located in lunar mansion number 9. It is conjunct fixed star Merak, and it is at the degree of Aries. I break this down for all signs in my Patreon family video. Check it out. Join the Patreon family if you'd like to know more. On the 4th of February, we have another biggie for this year. Uranus is turning direct, as I said, for the final time in Taurus. This is happening at 27 degrees. I have been waiting for this energy for the last 5 months or so. Now our intuition, our sense of rebellion, and our independence flow naturally and with ease. So for the last 5 months or so, while Uranus has been retrograde, humanity and certain individuals have been much less self-aware, and the ability to find equality, freedom, and truth has been severely impaired. No more, my friends, no more. Rise up into your independence. Rise up into your autonomy, my friends. Stand firm against tyranny. Find the truth that will set you free. Let your need for personal authenticity drive you forward during this empowering 6 to 7 month period of Uranus moving direct, and during that time, he will move into his next sign for good, Gemini. Uranus will never retrograde in Taurus again in your lifetime unless you happen to have been born in the sign of Taurus. Well, he's in the sign of Taurus, in which case you will be roughly 84 years old when you have this transit again. So it is full speed ahead into Gemini now, where he will move out of his uncomfortable dignity in Taurus and into an air sign which Uranus loves. Thank you, Sky God. Thank you, Great Liberator. On the 5th of February, we have Saturn hitting the anaretic degree of Pisces. This is the 29th degree, the final degree of the zodiac. It's the degree of fate. These last degrees are often considered problematic. This could be of influence in our world at large. We could see problematic escapades unfolding, more so than usual even. The anaretic degree can be defined as a peak, and so this could be a peak point of deceptive activity, rebellious activity. It could be a peak point of difficulties unfolding, and we've seen like 2026 has been crazy so far. So this could be a peak point for the first part of the year as Saturn hits the anaretic degree of Pisces. There can also be some real issues in your personal life with decision making at this time. We may evaluate and reevaluate situations over and over and over again before making a move. And we might, when we finally decide what to do, we might jump into action quite recklessly after all that decision-making, toing and froing. This anaretic degree is associated with a sense of urgency. The planet is desperate to accomplish its mission in that area of the chart. In this case with Saturn, it is the area that forms Pisces in whole sign astrology in your chart. So there's an urgency. Saturn is on to make sure he's got every I dotted, every T crossed in your Pisces realm. I will talk more about this going ahead in the future in future videos here. Now, the final thing about the anaretic degree is that it can be a point of poor choices, difficulties, overcompensation. For some people, it can also be a point of crisis. It is often associated with the manifestation of the shadow expressions of that planet, in this case Saturn, or the sign Pisces. Shadow expressions of Saturn can be rigidness, inflexibility, too close boundaries, too many rules, too many restrictions. We've got that going on in Australia right now. In the sign of Pisces, the shadow side of Pisces is deception, not seeing why we're having these rules and regulations, not really fully comprehending what's going on behind the scenes to be causing world leaders to be behaving the way they are. Pisces is deception, it is lies, it is having the wool pulled over our eyes in its shadow form. Be forewarned, forearmed, this is going to be an interesting day, the 5th of February, my friends. Also on the 5th of February, we have a square between Mercury and Uranus at 27 degrees. And breathe. This transit can cause nervous reactions such as anxiety, worry, or tension. Have a plan to navigate today as best you can. Breath work, being in nature, movement like bike riding or skiing are really good strategies, as is taking a little magnesium. Wherever Uranus is concerned, magnesium goes down well. Mercury is also the news, so expect surprises or unexpected events to upset the apple cart on the 5th of February. Under this energy, it can feel like life is rapidly speeding up, and perhaps for many of us, life on Earth, it really is speeding up, and yet it's like we're also on a runaway wagon out of control. I know we're all feeling that way at this point in time, so early in 2026. Forewarned, forearmed about the 5th of February, my friends. Look, a bit like Mercury retrograde, this is not a time for buying new devices or sending important emails or signing key contracts. Bide your time a day or two if you can manage it. But not all squares are challenging for everyone. Some people might actually find that they can think outside the box in a manner that gives a lot of spontaneous solutions, originality, and a new twist on an old issue under this energy. My prayer is that that's how it manifests for all of you watching this video. On the 7th of February, Mercury is going to move into Pisces. Quite frankly, I'm very tired of seeing all the memes saying that Mercury in Pisces is a combination for not being intelligent. Intelligence is not always found in the logical, conservative, conventional, and predictable. This is a beautiful combination from my observation of all the charts that I've done. It's found in the charts of poets, artists, and the spiritual intuitives, people who can channel the divine, tune into the divine. It's found in the charts of the gentle communicators, the listeners, and the warm conversationalists. So get ready, my dear friends. This month, while Mercury moves through Pisces, we're going to enjoy our thoughts turning towards the boundaryless, the spiritual, the poetic, the romantic, the creative. And that is going to feel like a breath of fresh air that we all could use. On the 8th of February, the final energy for this week, Venus will also join Mercury in making a square to Uranus. So how's your love life, my friends? No matter what state is in, this aspect can really stir the pot. We want freedom. We want excitement, not boredom and the same old, same old. Sometimes if things have been a little testy in a relationship, this combo can really stoke that angry fire. Forewarned, forearmed there. If you are a couple that likes a little experimentation and playfulness, change and open-mindedness, then you've nothing to fear from this transit. It can actually enhance your sense of connection with one another. And if you're single and loving it, then this rather autonomous energy is going to fill your life with interesting people, unusual people, and quirky people. So enjoy it. Live up the energy. It's a really wonderful energy for, getting in touch with our quirky side and our unusual side ourselves. Venus square to Uranus, my friends. Now, before we dive into the breakdown for all signs, I have something I'd like to share with my YouTube audience. I need to officially announce to everyone that I'm moving to the USA very soon. My husband's family are going through a difficult period with health concerns, and we feel after our visit there in October that it is important that we be there to support them however we can. Now, I'll be continuing my astrological work there, my friends, and I hope to meet many of my beautiful followers in person over the course of the coming years as I reside in America. I also, unfortunately, need to talk about the person who left a comment on last week's video where I briefly mentioned my move to America, and they responded to that mentioning with the following statements. They called me a Nazi for wanting to move to the USA. And they said, and this is a direct quote, "Moving to the USA shows your utter inability to read the future." Well, what a lovely, charming comment that was. You know what? In Australia, under our new hate speech laws, I would be able to sue this person. However, I'm an adult who chooses to wear her big girl pants, and I think the use of hate speech laws are for the small and the pathetic who love to wave their "I'm a victim" card around. Personally, I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity to go to the USA, especially to help my parents-in-law. And I'm incredibly grateful for the Constitution of the USA and its freedom of speech, unlike Australia and other Commonwealth countries at the moment, whose freedom of speech is utterly being slammed. This actually leads me to my second announcement. Number 2, I have launched a second YouTube channel, and this channel is called World Astrology with Kesenya. On this channel, I'll be sharing videos on the charts of countries, world event charts, world predictions, and ingress events, all done from a basis of mundane astrology, my friends. So please consider subscribing. The link should be in the description to this video. On that channel, I'll be sharing a series of videos in the coming days and weeks on what mundane astrology actually is. And when I leave Australia, I'll start sharing the more meaty videos on world astrology and chart analysis. So much to look forward to. I hope you'll join me there. And now we're going to move into an analysis of Uranus turning direct for all signs. Well, my friends, my Taurian rising sun or moon people, we are looking at Uranus turning direct for the very final time in your first house. And this is going to bring some very impressive shifts into your personal life in a big way. Firstly, let me just say, please forgive the sound of the air conditioner in the back of this recording. It's 44 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit where I am today, and therefore I just can't cope without my rowdy air conditioner on. So Taurus, Uranus moving direct for the final time in your sign. You will never again experience this in your lifetime unless you're a little bubby at this point in time. So you might start to see, as Uranus especially moves through the final 6 degrees of your sign where he gets jiggy with it, that there is a big desire within you to change your image, to change your look. If you haven't done so already in the last 7 years, it is now upon you. You're going to want to maybe color your hair differently or shave it all off, or maybe you're going to want to go and get a tattoo of some description and you've never thought about getting a tattoo in your life. There's going to be a desire to change your look in some way. It could be really simple. Maybe you'll go from wearing silver jewelry to gold jewelry if that's what you now prefer, or it could be something really grandiose on a big scale. But essentially, Uranus moving direct now for the final time in your sign tells us that there will be a breaking free from a way you have been previously. Obviously, I've just described ways that may pertain to your image and your body, but it can also be a breaking free in terms of an independence that is now pulling you strongly, where you want to go it on your own 2 feet. Go it alone in the world, maybe for some people, but also it may be just honoring yourself more, laying that line in the sand that says, no, this is me and I'm going to do me. So it's a really strong pull. Some people might feel it in a rebellious way too. Others might just, as I said, draw the line in the sand. Now, the changes that happen will be instigated by yourself. They're not going to come about because of external circumstances. You're going to make the decision. If you're breaking free between now and when Uranus leaves Taurus, and just to let you know, that's actually going to happen on the 26th of April. If the breaking free has to do with a relationship between now and then, it's going to be instigated by you, my Taurus friends. If the changes look like a physical transformation, it's going to be because you decided it was appropriate. So at this time, we own our lives, we own our situation, we own our look, we own everything about our circumstances and take responsibility for them. There is no playing the victim when Uranus moves through the first house. We are responsible for our choices, not outside circumstances. Now, yes, we do, all of us, suffer from issues regarding money or difficult bosses or difficult health situations, etc., from time to time. And the last 7 years has been no exception, Uranus. But how you deal with those circumstances and the changes that you bring about in your life because of those circumstances will be by a decision that you make. For example, yes, you may have a difficult marriage and a difficult relationship, let's say. You may choose to endure that going forward and just take it as it is. Or you may choose to leave and go it alone and do life on your terms. The decision regarding those circumstances will be yours. Changes will be instigated by the self, not necessarily by the circumstances that you find yourself in. Now, some of you Taurus people might notice that now Uranus is moving direct, there's a little bit more confusion and distrust towards you from others. That's because you're in your truth. And people are like, hang on, I didn't think they stood for that. Or I didn't think that that was who they were, because Uranus is impacting you, and other people's perception of you can be a little bit scratching their head, a bit confused. There might be a bit of stepping back by other people because, hang on a minute, I don't recognize this Taurus person anymore. They're not quite the person that I knew them to be. You've heard me tell this story many times. When I went through a Uranus transit to my first house, especially at the end of the transit, I was coloring my hair a different color every month. I was red, I was platinum blonde, I was short cropped, dark brunette, then I went back to short cropped blonde again. It changed constantly. And so this really was something I'd never done in my life before. I'd never dyed my hair in my life before, and I was in my mid-30s by this time. And of course, that caused a lot of people around me to go, hang on a minute, what's happening to Ksenia? This is what we're talking about here. You won't really mind so much because you're living in your truth, but other people might be scratching their head over what you're doing, maybe your behavior, your look, or the choices that you're making. But above all, my Taurus friends, this is a time of liberation that is helping you to become more authentic, more tuned in to who you really want to be. Now, there could be some sudden starts and some sudden endings that happen in this period until the 26th of April when Uranus leaves this sign. So expect that things might happen out of the blue, might happen swiftly, might happen suddenly in ways you didn't even see coming. This transit, I can also tell you, may help be a liberating effect for you from addiction or entrapment type situations. You will never go back. So if you've been considering giving up cigarette smoking or drinking alcohol or any other, something we call a vice that you wish you weren't doing. I need to give up swearing. I do that far too much as an Australian. Whatever it is that you need liberation from, you can seek the help of the universe now because it is on your side to say sayonara to those particular addictions or behaviors or entrapment situations. The universe can absolutely help you escape those things now, and you will, as I said, never go back. When Uranus cuts something off, that's the end of the story. So that's what I see happening for you, my beautiful Taurus friends. Just to let you know, if you're interested in a love reading in time for Valentine's Day, I have a $50 off deal going for my Ask a Question reading, and that's until Valentine's Day. I also have 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass, and this is for the eclipse season that we are entering into now that we're in February. To get your codes in order to purchase these discounts, you just need to be subscribed to my latest newsletter, or you can go to the website specials, which are listed on the homepage of my website. All the details, all the codes, etc. are there to make your purchase. So join me for the Nodes of the Moon Masterclass and the Ask a Question reading with $50 off. What good value, Taurus! Well, welcome my Aries, rising, sun and moon people to this, our analysis of Uranus turning direct for the very final time in your life in your second house. Now Uranus is getting jiggy with it, trying to bring about everything he's been wanting to build for the last 7 years as he has been transiting through this area of the chart in whole sign astrology. Before we go on, let me just apologize for the sound of the air conditioner in the background. It's 44 degrees Celsius here, or 110 Fahrenheit. I simply can't do this reading for you without an air conditioner going, and I'm afraid it's very rowdy, so I apologize for that. So let's take a look at what Uranus is busy achieving and accomplishing as he moves towards his end of the time in Taurus. He will finish his sojourn there on the 26th of April. And so between now and the 26th of April, we are really going to have a strong desire, my Aries friends, to have an independent source of income. If you haven't been freelancing, if you haven't considered entrepreneurism, if you haven't started your own company or business in the last 7 years, then it may come in thick and fast for you now that Uranus is moving through the end of this financial zone. Uranus is an independent energy. It wants to do things its own way. And in the house of the money that we have, then it's going to want to make money in its own way. Now that may not mean quitting your day job. It may mean that you desire to start a side hustle, or open a market stall, or start practicing palmistry or something on the side of what you're already doing that you hope might build to something really fantastic for you down the line. Especially as for our Aries people, Uranus will be moving into the third house of small business for them in the next 7 years. So this is a great time to establish that independent source of income in preparation for what is coming over the coming 7 years of Uranus's new transit. So start thinking about that. Start brainstorming about that. How can you create money on your own resources, with your own talents, with your own abilities, in your own way? That's what Uranus is asking you to become authentic about here. Your value systems might change somewhat. If they haven't already changed in the last 7 years, then they're going to change now. You might change what is important to you, what you value, what you treasure. And in fact, you might become quite quirky in what you do value. When I had this transit through my second house, instead of conservative furniture, I actually started to value having really fantastic mid-century modern furniture, and I also valued Uranian art, which is something that's very close to my heart actually. Something that I love to collect is Uranian style art. For those who don't know what that is, cartoon art is ruled by Uranus. Now, that doesn't mean a Scooby-Doo picture. For me, my favorite artist is Shag. He's very Uranian, very alternative, very quirky, very different, and often his paintings have some sort of a hidden message to them. But they're very beautiful. I love them. The colors are great. Anyway, I digress. Your value systems might change, and what you value might change and become quite quirky as Uranus moves through the end of this sign. Now also, there might be some disruptions to your stability. Now that may have been happening on and off over the last 7 years anyhow, But this is happening, if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen in the next few weeks until the 26th of April in order to push you into new ways of making money and new value systems. I'll let you in on a little secret, my dear Aries friends. I have 2 children who have this rising sign, and they are about to start independently living in the world and providing for themselves with their own money. And so this is what the second house is all about, the resources that we have to survive and thrive and flourish in the world. And so this is going to be somewhat destabilizing for them, for these 2 particularly. One of my other children is very organized and able and capable. But this is happening to help them, develop their independence materially, financially in the world, as I am going to pull back and give the responsibility for their lives over to them now that they are young adults. So that's an example. You may be a young person listening to this, and maybe you've got to start to step up and manage your own life on your terms now, financially and regarding the resources that you have to support your body. But for other people of many and various ages, this could also be the same. There might be some, as I said, disruptions to stability that might push you into a new state of being, and also potentially push you into new ways of making money, because this is a money house and Uranus wants to get you not stabilized, but he wants to get you authentic about how you manage your money and how you deal with money. So it's actually quite an exciting time. Your creative juices will be flowing. You'll be coming up with all these amazing quirky ideas, especially as an Aries person who's probably quite entrepreneurial anyway, as many Aries people are. So this is an exciting time when there's going to be some changes to finances, but it's designed to make you more independent, more free from the man, don't we all want that, and more liberated. Just to wrap things up a little bit for you, Aries, when I had this transit to my second house, which wasn't that long ago, I was able to really establish my astrology business, which has been my independent means of income to support my family and my husband and my life ever since. It has become, Uranus rules astrology. Many of you Aries people might be actually looking at establishing an astrology business now as a source of independently making money. You can even do that on the side. Uranus rules astrology. So this is one of the things that happened to me, and it may be happening to you too. If you are artistic in any way, I will just conclude by saying, my Aries friends, that your art over the next few weeks, from now to the 26th of April, when Uranus leaves, might become a bit more bohemian in style, or maybe a bit revolutionary, or perhaps with a sort of a important message for humanity in some way in your art. That's very Uranian in nature. Now, my beautiful Aries friends, I just want to let you know that if you have a burning question that you want answered, I am offering $50 off my Ask a Question reading, but only until Valentine's Day. So it's a good one if you're after some sort of love reading, actually. I'm also offering 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass, and this is only for the eclipse season that we're currently in, so get in early to understand what these eclipses are doing and how they affect us. If you want to get the codes that give you these discounts, all you've got to do is subscribe to my newsletter. It's available in my latest newsletter, the codes that you need, or you can go to my homepage where I have website specials and codes listed there as well. Precious Pisces, well, here we are, my very wonderful fellow Piscean rising sun and moon people, with Uranus turning direct for the very last time in your lifetime in your third house. He's getting ready to move into your fourth house on the 26th of April, but he has some business to conclude in your the third house between now and then. Just to let you know, my dear friends, that you'll probably hear the sound of an air conditioner in the background as you listen to this reading. I do apologize for that. It's 44 degrees Celsius and 110 degrees Fahrenheit here in my lounge room, and so I cannot survive without a good air conditioner going. So let's talk about what Uranus is getting jiggy with in your third house. Now, if he hasn't been doing these things I'm going to describe already, get ready, because these last few weeks he's got a mission. He wants to accomplish everything he set out to do when he first moved into the third house 7 years ago, and this is in whole sign astrology. So if you haven't awoken to new hobbies and new skills already in the last 7 years, then get ready, because they might come in a flood, my Pisces friends. You might suddenly get a desire to learn the oboe, or might suddenly get a desire to master French cookery. Some new hobby, some new skill may come flooding into your life and beckon you now as Uranus moves here for the very final time. He's going to make you original with your hobbies too. If you've got a current hobby that you love, and he's going to really cause you to become more authentic with that hobby, that skill. He's going to cause you to be more, get real about expressing yourself through that hobby and skill. So maybe you're studying French or practicing French cookery, French pastry making or something like that, but you're going to do it with your own special twist, your own special flair. Maybe you start learning the oboe, but hey, you're going to start playing, heavy metal with the oboe rather than classical music. You're going to do something in a new, liberated way that maybe nobody's ever done before, perhaps. Coupled with that, you're also going to have a lot of bright new ideas, a new way of thinking. If that hasn't already happened over the last 7 years or so as Uranus has moved through this area, my God, it's going to happen now that he's going direct. And look, as a Pisces rising person, let me tell you, the ideas I have had in the last few weeks have just... I just don't have time to implement them all. They're consuming me. All these new, mostly business ideas, because this is the house of small business. But Uranus's energy is really burrowing down in this last 6 degrees of the third house for our Pisces people. So we are going to be just flooded with ideas, unusual ways of looking at things, scientific thinking, technical thinking, even detached thinking. You might sort of find yourself a bit removed from your circumstances or the people in your life and sort of looking at them from outside, if you know what I mean. Just considering the world from a very detached vantage point. So, that can be quite fun to observe and analyze from that perspective, as the third house might induce. Also, you might find, because this is a restless energy, the third house, this wants to move around a bit. And in fact, many Pisces people might be on the verge of moving. Even if it's just moving from one bedroom in your house to another, there's an energy of shifting. Now, this is the 12th house from the 4th. The 4th house is where we live. And so to go 12 houses from the 4th means to move far away. And absolutely, this is what's happening for me, as you heard me describing in my introduction. I hope everybody got the chance to listen to that. I'm moving to a faraway country. So hello, Uranus moving direct in this area of the chart. But many of you, even if you're not moving homes, might have a very spontaneous influence upon their travel plans. So up until the 26th of April, you might suddenly, out of the blue decide you're going to jump on a plane to Bali. Because, hey, you've got a long weekend and, you're going to take a few extra days off, and boom, off you go to Bali on a whim. This is the kind of energy of Uranus in the third house. And even though it is, depending where you are in the world, of course, but usually Bali's a fair way away for most people, this is plane flights are seen by Uranus's energy. Uranus rules aeroplanes. And so there might be, you're so restless, you just want to change, you want to get out of your current environmental circumstances, so you jump on a plane somewhere. That's that energy. Now also, over the last 7 years, you may have been waking up to a liberating truth. Pisces, it's not just us who's been having that happen in our lives personally. I think the whole world over the last 7 years has been waking up to truth. Hopefully it's been liberating for most people. So Pisces in particular have been able to see through the dark to what's at the core, to what's beneath, because Uranus is authentic and true, and it knows where the shit's going down. It knows what's what. So Uranus has woken up our thinking to understand what's really going on. So my friends out there who are not Pisces, who are listening to this, pay attention to what Pisces people tell you at this time, because their minds have been switched on to the reality of the universe over the last 7 years. And if it hasn't already happened, it's coming for them before the 26th of April. We are thinking ahead of our time because of this transit, my Pisces friends. Not many people can access that higher vibrational thought, but Uranus in the third house is actually quite a decent placement for Uranus to be, even though it's in debilitation in Taurus here. It's still a decent house for Uranus to be in. that is allowing us to think on a higher octave at this time, Pisces. I'm a little bit sad to see this go, to be honest. I'm going to make the most of it until the 26th of April, that is for sure. Sometimes Uranus in this area of the chart can bring in unique associations and connections. We meet new people, new workshop groups, new friendships, new neighborhoods that actually help liberate us or see things from a different perspective. Maybe they're quite bohemian in some way as well. There can be difficulties with siblings, so forewarned, forearmed about that, my beautiful Pisces friends. Maybe siblings, not that you're having run-ins with them, but maybe life is like a roller coaster for your siblings because Uranus has been transiting your house of siblings. So in many cases, that's going to be a welcome relief for your siblings as that comes to an end. And I'm thinking now of my younger sister, who is associated obviously with the third house in anyone's horoscope, is the younger sibling. I have 3 younger siblings actually, but this one is particularly the one associated with my third house, and she has had a hell of a 7-year period. It's been horrendous. So I am sure she's going to be, if she was into astrology, she'd be very happy to know this time for her is coming to an end on the 26th of April as Uranus gets out of my house of siblings. Now, one thing that this can actually bring to many Pisces people, and probably has brought to many Pisces people who are watching this, is an interest in astrology, studying it, doing workshops in it, even the occult, palmistry, tea leaf reading, understanding predictive phenomena and energies, all these occult-based ideas and interests will have been enhanced because Uranus has moved through your third house of hobbies and skills and interests and things that we study for the joy of it, not to get a degree to set us up for the future. This is about just learning because we love it. Learning a new hobby, learning a new skill. We don't do it just to, fill up a resume. We do it because usually if we were learning a new hobby or a new skill, we're actually interested in what we're doing. So dear Pisces friends, on that topic, if you would like to participate in a final workshop or class, I am offering 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass for eclipse season. This is a really big class, and 50% off is a big whack of money off this class, let me tell you. It's perfect to end and round off the time of Uranus in your third house. Also, I'm offering $50 off my Ask a Question reading, and that's available until Valentine's Day. Now, to get the codes to make these purchases, it's not that complicated. You can subscribe to my newsletter. I've got the codes listed in my latest newsletter, or you can just go to my homepage at the website. The specials and their codes are listed there. So I look forward to joining you in one of those specials. Well, my Aquarius rising sun and moon people, here we go with Uranus moving for the final time in your lifetime through your 4th house, the sign of Taurus in whole sign astrology. And it's only until the 26th of April that he is going to be getting jiggy with it there for the very last time. This is an energy to grab onto and enjoy for this last ride. I just want to let you know, my dear Aquarius friends, if you can hear the sound of an air conditioner going, a whirring metallic sound in the background, it's because it's 44 degrees Celsius here today, or 110 Fahrenheit, and I find it just too unbearable not to have my rowdy air conditioner going. So please forgive that noise. All right, let's look at Uranus moving through the 4th house for the last time. So until the 26th of April, he is getting busy. He's on a mission. If he hasn't accomplished these things I'm going to describe already in your life over the last 7 years, now he is getting it on. This can indicate that some of you may be having some sort of separation from your family. In the worst case scenario, it may trigger a divorce for some people if your natal chart is configured that way. Uranus's energy through the 4th house can cause a divorce at times. But for most people, it might look like some sort of separation from family. Maybe your parents are moving into an aged care facility. Well, that's a form of separation from parents who've perhaps been more active in your life up until that point, that they go into an aged care facility. I'm not an Aquarius person, but I am experiencing, as Uranus moves into my 4th house, being a Pisces rising person, I am going to be in a state of separation from my family. My brothers and my sisters, my mum and my dad and my children are all going to be in Australia as I move to help care for my husband's parents in America. So that'll be a separation from my family. It's not a bad separation. This is just life. This is the way things go. So Aquarius, this may be happening to you in some way, shape or form if it hasn't already happened for you in the last 7 years. Often Uranus brings a relocation of a massive nature, not just a little bit, I'm going to move to the house next door, or I'm going to change bedrooms or anything. When Uranus transits for 7 years, the fourth house, he brings big changes to your home condition and your domestic environment. And so this has probably been going on all throughout this transit. I know Lada from Astrolada has been having this transit for basically the last 7 years, and she has been living between two places. She's been living in Bulgaria, she's been living in the USA. This is exactly the kind of changeability and relocation that Uranus can bring about. Now, if he hasn't done this to you already, Aquarius, there is going to be some kind of stirring up of the energy in your domestic environment. So that may look like a big relocation is on the cards for you, or a big renovation, a big change to your home, perhaps to modernize it. Uranus rules modern innovations. So you might be making your home more technologically savvy, you might be installing more gadgets, you might be extending on your home or creating bigger sort of light spaces with more views. Uranus loves a view. And so you might be putting in some bigger windows into your home, that sort of thing, to make change to your home that is more Uranian in nature if you haven't already done so. You might find also that you're inspired to sort of join some sort of ideological community. This is the sign, and not the sign, it's the house rather. The fourth house is the house of community that feels like blood relations. Tribal societies are fourth house kinds of societies. So you may, if you haven't already done so, you may find your tribe in the next few weeks until the 26th of April, my beautiful Aquarius friends. And it's likely that they're going to be quite quirky, interesting, different, alternative types of people. And I'm sure you'll love that, Aquarius, because, Aquarius is often considered that type of person themselves. So wonderful energy for connecting and finding your tribe of people coming for you in the next few weeks. It probably has been difficult over the last 7 years to create a settled, peaceful life. Rest assured that is coming for you out the end of this transit of Uranus. But you may just get the last hurrahs of sort of the restlessness and the unsettled feeling until the 26th of April, after which you're probably going to be feeling like you can put down some roots and be more established. One thing's for sure, though, my beautiful Aquarian friends, is that Uranus has desired to bring liberation to you regarding where you live and your family life. That may feel really wonderful, and there's probably been some sort of liberation for your family in some way as well. I'll tell you one thing that I'm looking forward to as Uranus prepares to move into the fourth house for Pisces people is becoming more self-sufficient in my home environment. Perhaps going off-grid or having my own water supply or all that sort of thing can come for fourth house transits, and many of you Aquarius people may have been able to establish a home that's quite self-sufficient, quite autonomous, quite independent, which something I've looked forward to doing all my life. So do leave a comment, my Aquarius friends, if that's something you've experienced during the last 7 years, or if it's something you feel is on the cards for you between now and the 26th of April as this energy moves towards its last hurrah in this sign, never to happen again. So what a fantastic transit this Uranus energy has been. I want to let you know, my Aquarius friends, that I'm offering $50 off my readings, my Ask a Question reading, but only until Valentine's Day. So it's a great time to get a love reading if you're so inclined to explore that, but you can explore other topics as well if you prefer. Also, I'm offering 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass, and this can be joined at any time. It's learning at your own pace, but just in time for eclipse season. It's only going to be available for a very short time. 50% off this whopping big course. You are going to love it. Now, you'll need a code to make a purchase of either of these things, and you can get the codes in my latest newsletter if you're subscribed to my newsletter, or you can get the codes by going to my homepage at the website. They are listed in the special section at the homepage. Too easy. Well, Capricorn, here we are with Uranus preparing to end his sojourn for the last 7 years in your 5th house. Things are coming to an end. He is never going to transit this area of your chart ever again in your lifetime, unless you're a very wee baby, of course. But this is it. His final last hurrah. Now, I need to let you know, my beautiful Capricorn friends, that there is the sound of a very noisy air conditioner in the background. That's because it's 44 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit here where I'm living, and I simply can't do this reading for you without the air conditioning going. So I apologize if that's intrusive to anybody. Let's take a look at Uranus doing his final jiggy with it dance here in the 5th house. So he is really keen to accomplish his mission in the 5th house now. If he hasn't already accomplished it in the last 7 years, he's on it now up until the 26th of April, when he will leave this sign for good, the sign of Taurus. So expect, if you haven't already had them, some surprising romantic experiences, new passions that come into your heart, and all of a sudden you're just wanting to sing and dance like your Mary Poppins up and down the street. That falling in love kind of energy. Not that Mary Poppins fell in love. I'm thinking, I have often walked down this street before. What's that? That's from My Fair Lady. So that's the kind of thing that we are talking about, being in a song and dance kind of situation about your love life, my beautiful Capricorn friends. You surprisingly fall in love, or somebody surprisingly falls in love with you, and you have unexpected, shocking even, romantic encounters that can be quite wonderful. So that sounds like a lot of fun for many of my Capricorn friends. If you haven't already experienced that, it may come your way now. Some people, now this is a house of the conception of children. Some people may surprisingly conceive children now. Now, of course, your natal chart will be very dependent upon whether that manifests for you, if it's something you want. Some people need to be very careful if they are pregnant, because unfortunately, Uranus in the 5th house can bring miscarriages. So he can bring surprise pregnancies that you weren't looking for. So if you're not wanting to get pregnant, make sure over the next few weeks until the 26th of April that you're using protection. So surprising pregnancies, being able to conceive unexpectedly if you want to, and also maybe be on your guard. Look after your health as best you can. Don't stress. If things are getting out of control, make sure you see your doctor and look after yourself at the first sign of difficulty, because Uranus can sometimes bring abortions and miscarriages, okay? If you're doing IVF, Uranus turning direct can be quite a blessing as well at this time. Of course, to choose an electional astrology time to get such procedures done, one would need to look at electional astrology as pertains to your chart, which is something I can provide for anybody who is in that situation. But this is a supportive energy nonetheless to help you with that process. Now, if you have children, you might notice them acting very strangely, acting very quirky, getting very interested in some sort of pursuit that you never imagined in a million years they'd be interested in. Children can become quite scientific under this energy. They might even seem to you to be somehow brilliant and quirky or eccentric. Worst case scenario, your children can be a little bit rebellious. So depending on their age, of course, that is maybe likely to be the case. Forewarned, forearmed there. Have a bit of compassion. If you notice that your children are being rebellious or, disputative or something, recognize that this is the energy that they are experiencing now because of what's happening in your chart, Capricorn, and that's just the way it is. Now, some people, not everybody, but some people, depending on their stage in life and what their relationship is like with their children, might be experiencing some sort of separation with their children. Not necessarily for the bad. Maybe your child is going away to university for the first time, or maybe a child has to move for a job to the other side of the country. It doesn't necessarily mean a falling out, but there is a separation as Uranus now finishes his sojourn in the house of children that might come your way, for better or for worse. You yourself, this is the house of our hobbies, the things that come to us innately, that we're just naturally good at. And Uranus moving here direct now for the very final time might bring in a new hobby that you never even knew you had a talent in. You know, maybe it's, I don't know, writing. And you suddenly get really interested in writing sci-fi literature, and you've never been interested in sci-fi literature in your life before. But Uranus rules sci-fi. This is the house of innate intelligence to do with writing, is one of the ways that expresses. So some of you might be, developing a quirky new creative interest in that regard. Some of you might develop pleasurable interests that are connected to science or astrology or progress in some way. You might even be, very drawn to, it's not that this is a house of research, but your artistic and creative endeavors might have a revolutionary tone to them, where you're sending a message or putting in some sort of higher meaning into your hobbies or your creative endeavors. And also, this is an adventurous and excitable energy. So your hobbies and your interests might take on that tone. If you're into sport, you might be getting more excitable or adventurous with your sports. Do keep safe if that's the case. Think about, snowboarding or, parachuting and that kind of thing. And in fact, anything to do with being up in the air is very Uranian. So parachuting, hot air ballooning, that kind of thing, if you class them as sports, that may be on the cards. Just do be very careful with Uranus moving direct here now. If you are inclined to gamble, this is also a house of gambling. Be very careful. In fact, I'd hold off, Capricorn, for the next few weeks until the 26th of April, because Uranus brings a bit of a roller coaster energy to gambling in the 5th house. There can be sudden gains that are fantastic, and maybe if all you spend is $5 on a lottery ticket, well, why not? Nothing really much to lose there, and you could stand to gain everything. But if you're putting all you own on the horses, well, it's not a really good time with Uranus here. So be wise, as Capricorn people generally naturally are. Be wise and be cautious about how you, if you want to use the word, invest in risky situations. So yeah, just to be careful. You could have a really amazing, surprising outcome either way, for the good or for the worse, okay? Now, Capricorn, I do need to let you know that I have a really fabulous special, 2 fabulous specials going at the moment that you're not going to want to miss out on. $50 off my Ask a Question reading. Absolute great deal, absolute bargain. That's only available till Valentine's Day. And I also have 50% off my Nodes of the Moon masterclass. Now that's a huge amount of money off this massive masterclass just in time for eclipse season, to understand and comprehend all that the eclipses are doing in our lives and all that the nodes do to affect our lives. So all you've got to do, it's so easy, just get your codes, make your purchase. The codes are in my latest newsletter if you're subscribed to my newsletter, or they're at the website specials section of my homepage. So you can grab all you need there, make your purchase, and enjoy wonderful astrology. Well, Sagittarius, here comes Uranus doing his final jiggy with it dance in your 6th house. This is the last time in your life that Uranus will be in your 6th house. It's never going to happen again, but he has a mission to accomplish here, and he's not going to stop until it's done on the 26th of April this year. What's this all about? Firstly, let me just say, my beautiful Saggy friends, if you can hear a whirring sound in the background, it's not something wrong with your computer or mine. It is 44 degrees Celsius here, or 110 Fahrenheit. It's just too hot for me not to have my very noisy air conditioner on, annoying everybody in the background, so I do apologize for that. But moving along, Uranus in the 5th house. It's been here for 7 years. Have you lost any weight, Sagittarius? Because you know what? Uranus moving through the house of our daily health routines and our diet can see things perhaps have been a bit like on a roller coaster. One moment you're up and you've put on a bit of padding, and the next it's all off and then some. You can be up and down with weight gain during the transit of Uranus through here, and let me just say, as he moves through the 6th house for the final time, you might find that there is a loss of weight that comes your way between now and the 26th of April. Not necessarily because you're instigating anything, just because the energy leads to that direction. Maybe you're busier than ever. Maybe your routines are all shaken up and out of the usual order, and you're not having time to sit down and eat a meal. So it's just a result of the energy of Uranus here for the final time direct. So watch your health. Do make sure you eat when your body needs fuel. Don't be, whipping your body or treating it in harsh ways, because it's already under a lot of energetic pressure from Uranus moving through the 6th house. My husband is a Sagittarius rising, and indeed, his whole routine will be absolutely shaken up with Uranus turning direct here, because he will be back in America and he will be setting up his new Kung Fu studio and creating that new business. And I hope everyone who's in the San Francisco area can come join him there. Learn Kung Fu and self-defense, especially women's self-defense, which he's going to be offering. But I digress, just to illustrate the point that his whole routine from when he was in Australia will be completely different when he's in America running and setting up that business. So sudden changes to routines, or maybe changes to routines in your life that have been building even over the last 7 years. Now Uranus wants to really put them in place and make things more authentic for you with how you're conducting your daily life from woe to go, from the moment you wake to the moment you fall asleep. He'll be changing things. So again, this is another reason to have good health hygiene. Be sure to be getting enough sleep. Be sure to be eating enough to support the changes that your routine is inflicting upon your physical energy. Now, there might also be sudden changes to your work life, Sagittarius, as I've just described with my husband, but you could receive bright new innovations for your own career, bright new innovations for your health, and wonderful new routines. So many of you, if you're a list person like me, you might be getting out a list of, okay, at 6 o'clock I'm going to rise and I'm going to do this. At 7 o'clock I'm going to have my breakfast. And you are creating for yourself under this energy. Uranus will give you a lot of inspiration for a whole new routine and daily lifestyle. And this is the right energy to do it under now that Uranus is direct, right up until the 26th of April. The routines that you set in place now will be very freeing and liberating going forward in your life. In fact, they will serve to help you with everything that's going to come in your future. So it's a really good time to review and prioritize what is important to you in your daily routine and make a designated space for it. As I said, there can be some innovations for career. Some of you may be changing career. In fact, many of you Sagittarius people have probably experimented a lot with careers and businesses and entrepreneurial ideas over the last 6 or so, 7 years. Well, Uranus is going to be getting his purpose together there and really establishing whatever it is that's newly arrived in your life in that regard. So I'll use my husband as an example again. He's dabbled in many things over the last 7 years, looking to liberate himself from his former, let's say, employment. And he's been able to do that. He's trialed a number of different things. Those who've seen the interviews with my husband and I online know that he's an incredible author, researcher of the stars and mythology. He's taught courses in those things. He's spoken and will continue to speak at many conferences on these things. Not only that, he's established a coffee van business here in Australia that was very successful. And now he's moving into teaching something he's been studying since the 90s, which is Kung Fu of the Ip Man lineage, very powerful lineage. So he's now moving into teaching that, and that has come at the end of this Uranus transit of his 6th house of what we do to put food on the table, to pay the bills, to be our everyday work. And so here he is at the turn of Uranus, moving into the last phase of the 6th house of work, establishing this newly innovated idea for career and future. And you will be at this point too, Sagittarius, in some way, shape or form. Maybe you've just redefined what you're doing for a job. Maybe you haven't changed jobs, but maybe your role in that job has changed. Maybe the way you're approaching your job has changed, or the mindset you've got towards that job has changed. But there is certainly some sort of innovation and change and liberation and authenticity that Uranus, if he hasn't already done so, is now bringing to your day-to-day work experience between now and the 26th of April. Worst case scenario for sort of more a low vibrational energy, some of you might be feeling very rebellious at work. You don't want to buckle under. You don't want to do what they tell you. This is not a placement. Uranus in the 6th house by transit or natally, it's not a placement for somebody who works for government. Let me just tell you now. You are going to want to sort of rebel from any sort of hierarchical, structural, restrictive environments, my dear friends. And maybe you should pay heed to that energetic push Uranus is giving you. He's trying to liberate you and make life more authentic for you on a day-to-day basis in his last hurrah here through this section of the chart. So listen to your heart. Follow what it's telling you. Follow this pull of Uranian energy that wants you to be free, that wants you to be liberated in some way. I will just conclude by saying, my dear Saggy friends, that if you have been struggling with some problems and difficulties in life, this could be the energy that you need to shake things up, to get out of a rut, to get over some issue or problem. You might have a sudden, epiphany or aha solution to a situation that you thought was drowning you or consuming you in some way. You'll have a great ingenuity or originality to solve a problem in your life now. You will find unusual solutions, progressive solutions to life's difficulties. This energy, keep your mind open, do your research, explore for answers, because Uranus will give them to you to help you overcome the problems that have been present in your life, maybe for the last 7 or so years. It's all coming to an end now as Uranus finishes up here before the 26th of April. So my dear darling Sagittarius friends, I want to let you know I am offering 2 amazing deals right now. I've got 50% off a reading with me, ask a question reading, but that's only until Valentine's Day. Great time to get a love reading if that's something you're interested in. $50 off the usual price is a huge amount. I think it's like 1/5 off the usual price. There's also 50% of my Nodes of the Moon masterclass. This is an enormous course. It's a 15-hour course exploring every possible nuance about the nodes that cause the eclipses. And this is eclipse season that we're in, so this is available just for a short time while we're in eclipse season to help you understand what the nodes are up to at this time in our lives. 50% off the usual price. You'll need a code for both of these specials, and the codes are really easy to get. They're available in my newsletter if you're subscribed to my newsletter, or you can go to my homepage at the website and there's a specials section where the codes are listed there. Just use them, make your purchase, and I'd love to see you there. Well, my dear darling Scorpio friends, sun, rising or moon signs, wowee, this is the last you're going to see of Uranus in your 7th house for your whole life. This is it. He's on his last hurrah doing his final jiggy with it dance in your 7th house in whole sign astrology. And now that he's turning direct, he is on a mission. He has got work to do. If he hasn't done it already, he is going to make sure it's done by the 26th of April when he leaves for good. I'll just let you know, my Scorpio friends, it is 44 degrees Celsius here where I am, or 110 Fahrenheit. It is just far too hot not to have the air conditioner going. You may be able to hear a horrible whirring sound in the background. I do apologize for that. But let's look at Uranus last time in the 7th house. I know you're delighted to see him leave there because it is a placement for sudden divorce and separations when he transits this house. Now, it doesn't happen to everyone. It often depends the life age you're at or the circumstances you're in. But this can sometimes happen. So over the last 7 years of his transit here, you may have undergone a difficulty such as that one, breaking away from someone. Now, when Uranus triggers this, it will be a clean break. It will be sudden. It's not about, I've got to be codependent. No. You're going to want to do something authentic and true and independent, or it's your partner that's wanted to be more independent and leave the relationship. Often when Uranus transits the 7th house, the relationship breakup happens outside of us. It's not something we instigate. It's something that someone else has put forward, has instigated. So that has, for some Scorpio people, been probably the most challenging thing of the last 7 years with this transit, but it's all coming to an end now. It doesn't mean the relationships are coming to an end. It means that all the trauma is coming to an end, and as Uranus moves into the 8th house, you're going to start building something new. So that's some good news. But off that rather difficult topic, many Scorpio people, if you haven't had this happen already, might find that somebody will come into your life to get you out of a rut. If you've been feeling stuck for the last 7 years and you're like, I just wish my life would change, well, hang on to your hats, because somebody's going to come into your life that will do that. Now, it could be a lover, it could be a partner, it could be a boss who changes your life, it could be a client, it could be a whole new audience that's going to create change in your life. Someone, or even a collection of people, may come into your life to shake you out of a rut, but more often than not, it's a one-on-one type of situation. So one singular client or one member of your audience, that kind of thing. Relationships are 7th house energy, and that is what is changing in a huge dynamic way in this final last hurrah of Uranus until the 26th of April. Some of you might find that you enter into a long-distance type relationship. It's on and off again for some Scorpio people. So that could look like, a relationship of a love variety or a committed variety where you're living in separate countries and you get together on weekends or something like that. But it can also represent like a boss, a partnership, not a boss, I should change that, I'm sorry. It's like a business collaboration where you're equals and you're both putting into the business together, but you're doing it in an independent way, in an autonomous way. Maybe you start a collaborative with somebody and you are being the chiropractor and they're offering podiatry, but you join together under the one roof, creating the one business, collaborative energy. Uranus can bring a shake-up like that to a relationship of a business nature where you are doing something independently but collaboratively at the same time. So relationships that are for work, for personal life, for business, even friendship related. But whatever it is, the change that will be brought between now and the 26th of April will be fast and life-changing, because Uranus has business here and he's not going to stop until the business is done, until he has liberated you in some way with regard to other people. Some of you, if you've established relationships while he's been here, you may have found that the relationships have been on again, off again. One moment you're going out, the next moment you're not, blah, blah, blah. You may find, as Uranus prepares to leave this house, that a relationship settles into security, especially after the 26th of April. So if you established a relationship and it was fairly unsettled, and maybe you broke a lot of relationship taboos to be in that relationship, and was it going to last? You don't know. It was on again, off again. If that relationship is for the long term, after Uranus leaves on the 26th of April, it will be more likely to endure now that Uranus is leaving your 7th house of relationships. Some of you may just find between now and the 26th of April that you are surrounded by more Uranian type people than ever before. Astrologers keep popping up everywhere on YouTube. Just be forewarned, some of them are AI, don't even follow them. They are sending money away from the people who do the research and the hard work. It's essentially stealing. But astrologers, scientists, humanitarians, people who work with technology, people who are inventive, eccentric, creative, unique, people who are bohemian. I would also suggest that you should be open to friendships with these people, because they could be very life-changing. They might create, this is not a house of networking, but they might create opportunities for you, open doors that never would have opened if you hadn't met them. So keep your judgmentalism, if you're a judgmental kind of Scorpio person, keep it to yourself and be more open about allowing the unusual types of friendships and people into your life. You may be quite surprised at what transformative energy they bring into your world. Now, this is a house of love and falling in love. And let me just say, Scorpio, I am offering $50 off my love reading. It's really an ask and any question reading, but it's a love reading until Valentine's Day. $50 off the usual price. That's a whopping amount. And not only that, but if you're in a situation because of Uranus transit through this house of relationship where you're questioning your love life and your relationships, I have a number of services at my website, such as relationship synastry reports and marriage reports, all that sort of thing. It's all there for you if you really want to look into relationships, especially as Uranus moves here. I also am offering 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass. This is a 15-hour deep dive into the energy of the nodes, which cause the eclipses. So this discount is only available for eclipse season, just a short time, to help you understand and be prepared and ready for what the eclipses are going to do. You'll need a code to get your discounts for either the reading or the masterclass. And all you've got to do is be subscribed to my latest newsletter because the codes are in there. Or you can go to my homepage on my website. There's a list of specials and their associated codes there. Just use them to make your purchase. Too easy. Thank you, my lovely Scorpios. My gorgeous Libras, Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon, are we ever happy? Because here goes Uranus moving out of the 8th house for the very final time. He's doing his last hurrah in the 8th house, a place where he just loves to be, I might add. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But Uranus has got a mission. He's on a mission now that he's turning direct this week. Between now and the 26th of April, he's got things to accomplish in that 8th house, and he's not going to stop until they're done. What does that mean for us? Well, firstly, let me say, Libra, if you can hear a horrible metallic whirling sound in the background of this recording, it's simply because it's 44 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit here where I am today, and I simply cannot do this reading without having my air conditioning going, and I do apologize for that noise. But let's talk back about Uranus in the, it's in your 8th house. This can bring, for some, oh my God, I'm so excited as I say this, Libra. Some of you might suddenly get a windfall, suddenly get an inheritance, some sudden change to money that you haven't earned. You know, so this is the 8th house of other people's money and how other people's money interacts with us. So the government's, if you want to call it the government's money, it's really our money, but hey, we assign it the 8th house. The government's money is a tax return that comes back to us. It might be quite surprising. It might be quite shocking. You might be just blown out of the water by the tax return that you get between now and the 26th of April, now that Uranus is doing his last hurrah in the house of tax returns. You might, if you've been waiting on an inheritance, it could come through all of a sudden in a big rush before you can even blink your eyes. There it is. There's your inheritance. So some sudden upheaval with how you receive money that's not money you've earned or saved or accumulated in any way. It's stuff that's outside of you. Now, it can also be your partner's finances. Your partner might experience a sudden inheritance, a sudden windfall, a sudden opportunity financially that he or she did not see coming. So this is quite exciting for your partner as well, that you're having this final last hurrah of Uranus for the last time in your life in this powerful 8th house placement. I do have to cover all bases, and I have to say Uranus, he is a bit of a roller coaster ride, and if you have a severely debilitated or badly aspected Uranus in your natal chart, this could bring a sudden bankruptcy. But I don't want anyone to be panicky about such things, because Uranus's purpose always is to liberate you from what is holding you back from your truth, from your authenticity. And maybe there's something about, you know, money, other people's money, you know, your investments for other people and stuff that is keeping you from knowing your truth. There is purpose to the way the universe works if we only have the stoic, wise eyes to see it, okay? But for most people, this is going to bring in some sudden opportunity that we will be very excited about. Also, this is a transit, this final transit here can give a massive influx of knowledge of astrology. You know, divine wisdom and higher knowledge is flooding in for you now, Libra. And you can even suddenly find between now and the 26th of April that you just know astrological insights and wisdom intuitively, telepathically even. You know, even secret information can suddenly be made sense of by you. Also, I'll just say, if you are at all interested, Libra, or have ever been interested over the last 7 years in understanding things like astrology, maybe you're looking at horary, maybe you're looking at Chinese astrology, maybe you're looking at electional astrology. If you have wanted to know something about a facet of astrology, well, my God, this is the time. You are going to be so hungry for it now, Libra. You are going to be grabbing every book on the shelves to help you understand these occult practices, such as astrology or palmistry, tea leaf reading, tarot card reading, energy work, all of those things. Very, very exciting. You're going to be able to understand these things. It's also a very good time to invest in Uranian things, now that Uranus is direct here for the very final time. Really, we should invest in we should invest in the things of the house Uranus is going to transit at the beginning of that transit. I'll talk more about that in April when Uranus moves into the sign of Gemini. But we should be investing, and we should have invested in 8th house things, maybe Taurus-based things as well, Libra, way back into sort of 2018-19 when he was moving initially in this sign. Then we would be reaping a harvest at this point. But sometimes Uranus does his best work at the last minute, all of a sudden in a rush. He's a very fast energy. And some of you might be investing beneficially now in some 8th house things like astrology, but also maybe, because the 8th house has to do with investing itself, you might be investing in astrology, electronics, alternative politics, the internet, science, innovation, all of those sorts of Uranian things, air travel as well, any sort of modern technology and gadgets and advanced ideas. You can invest in those things now, and you can find that they can really pay off for you. So between now and the 26th of April, once Uranus has turned direct this week, you're good to go in that regard. You might find this is a time that you're supported by the universe to quit bad habits and make life changes, because this is a healing house, the 8th house. So you can absolutely transform your life by cutting something out of it, like getting rid of an addiction to chocolate or an addiction to porn, or, things that are perhaps weighing you down in life. You can get rid of them now. This is a house of trauma as well. It is a house of the trauma we suffer through crisis, maybe as a child or even as an adult. And it's also a house of healing of trauma. And so this is a wonderful time to take action to heal from our traumas, maybe in childhood or whatever has traumatized you in your life. Uranus now until the 26th of April is providing maybe sudden opportunities, sudden ways, unexpected ways to heal from trauma or to understand trauma. Uranus is a very mind-based energy. It's electrical energy, but it's very connected to the higher octave of Mercury, which is our thinking. So you're going to understand things better, you're going to comprehend things better, and through that understanding comes liberation and freedom from trauma that you may have known in your life. Another thing, though, that Uranus can do when he's in the 8th house by transit is make you more liberated with sort of your sexual life, I don't like to sort of spend too much time talking about people's personal stuff, but hey, you might get a bit kinky. You might get a bit willing to experiment in things that maybe before you weren't interested in. So Uranus can certainly stir the pot there. I also feel that Uranus can really give you revelations and epiphanies and sudden awakenings through a sexual experience too, or a sexual encounter. So, if you've had a ho-hum sex life and you're okay with that, big deal, whatever, well, between now and the 26th of April, you might have an experience that absolutely shatters your preconceived ideas about what sex is and the experience of sex. So Libra, it can be quite profound and quite beautiful and quite surprising. You might even feel closer to the divine after a sexual experience as Uranus moves direct in this very potent part of the chart. The final 6 degrees of any sign are always very potent, because a planet, it's like the planet says, oh my God, I've only got a short period of time. I've got to get my job done here. So he comes in like a whirlwind and he makes things happen. So get ready. Now, my beautiful, beautiful Libran friends, I'm so excited to tell you all this good stuff because I'm a Libran moon too, so it applies to me as well. Hurrah! We want all this nice stuff to come in. But I also want to let you know that if you do like studying Uranian topics here in the 8th house and doing deep dives into research, well, I have great news for you. I've got 50% off my Nodes of the Moon masterclass just for a short time while we're in eclipse season. And 50%, this is a 15-hour video class really doing some serious deep diving into how the nodes affect our lives personally and deeply, just in time for eclipse season because the nodes affect eclipses. So that's one of the offers that I have on at the moment. The other is I've got 50% off my Ask a Question reading. That's quite a bargain as well. So 50% off $50 off a reading and 50% off the class. So this is only until Valentine's Day that this is being offered, and you can get your codes for either the reading or the class by being subscribed to my latest newsletter, or you can go to the website homepage. I've got all my specials listed there. You can grab your codes and make your purchases there. It's just too easy. Precious Virgo friends, here we go. Uranus is moving into your last hurrah, I should say, of your 9th house. So this is the last time in your whole lifetime that Uranus is going to be in your 9th house between now and the 26th of April. And so he is getting so busy to accomplish all that he's set out to do in this area of the chart. He's got a mission and he's on it. My friends, I want to apologize for the sound of the air conditioner in the background that you may be able to hear if you've got good speakers. It's 44 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit here where I am in Australia, and I simply can't do this reading without the house being cool enough to do so. So I do apologize if that distracts. But let's have a look at what it means this last time Uranus moves forward in your 9th house. Well, this is the house in Vedic astrology that has to do with our father. And Uranus is a planet that often brings separations. So for some of you Virgo people, you might find that there's some kind of a separation you're experiencing with the father. Now this could be, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be that your father is moving into like an old age care home or something like that, and you're just not able to have as much time with dad as you usually did because he's going to be in a different life situation. It could be that you're having to move overseas and therefore your father is going to be further away. It doesn't necessarily mean anything bad, but there is a separation with a father or a father figure present here. There can also be disruptions to education if you're doing some sort of educational higher level university course between now and the 26th of April. There could be sort of upheavals that you didn't see coming, things that change all of a sudden. Maybe the course lecturer has to be replaced, or maybe the subjects you're studying in the course have to be redefined in some way or something, but just changes and disruptions to some higher level form of study. Now, if you are somebody who works in a Uranian career, that's maybe a scientific career or a progressive career, maybe you work in the air in some way, like for the airport, or you're in the Air Force or something like that. Maybe you're in some sort of scientific endeavor, maybe you're an astrologer. They are all Uranian type careers. Or if you're a highly Uranian person, if your Uranus sits with your moon, your sun, or your rising degree, then this can be a very good transit for you, because the 9th house is a house of blessing. It's a house of profit and gain in Vedic astrology. And so if you are geared towards Uranian energy, you can expect a surprise blessing from the universe, a surprise opportunity, a surprise chance, a door to step through that's going to take you into a whole new sense of meaning and purpose and dharma. Uranus also wants to liberate you and wants to make you more authentic in how you're living your life. And as he winds up his time in the 9th house of purpose and meaning, well, you're going to be able to find it, aren't you? Especially if you're a highly Uranian person or someone who functions in a Uranian way. You might find this is a house of beliefs, and that you might be changing your beliefs. You are seeing the world through a different lens at this time. Maybe you're letting go of old religious beliefs and embracing a more scientific perspective, or maybe a more pagan or alternative or bohemian perspective in your belief systems and what you lay your belief foundation on. Uranus wants to turn that around and make it more real, more authentic. He doesn't want to see people just following in their religious parents' footsteps just because. He wants you to own what you believe, embrace what you believe, and live what you truly believe in all, areas that, maybe it's some sort of unconventional belief that you just apply to yourself of your own accord. It doesn't have to be anything official, of course. So yes, this can be scandalous, Virgo, to those of you who are more traditional in their belief ideologies and their belief systems, but Uranus may even tempt you to explore something you've never explored before to do with belief and religion. A very obscure religion or an unusual religion you might be interested in exploring between now and the 26th of April. Now, this is also the house of other countries, Virgo, and you might find that you can have sudden rises in success, very ninth house, rises in luck, rises in prosperity, rises in opportunity when you travel overseas. So quite exciting for our Virgo people to see this positive energy of Uranus moving forward for the final time here. He may have been doing these things already for the last 7 years that he's been in this area of the chart, but he's really going to get going with it, get jiggy with it during this time. Now, when you go to foreign countries, surprising things may happen. Shocks, unexpected events, sudden changes out of the blue. So be careful while you're traveling, make sure that, your luggage is insured and all that sort of thing, just to cover all bases, nothing to be afraid of. But, some surprising events might happen, like maybe you get on the plane and you sit next to some, big celebrity, maybe a Uranian celebrity, a very famous scientist, and you're sitting next to them, chatting to them for the whole trip. That could be what happens, something surprising, Uranian and unexpected that may happen. Now, if you are feeling stuck at all between now and the 26th of April, Virgo, if you want your life to change, then go traveling. Go to a foreign country, or simply go to a different cultural area of the city where you live, because amazing things will happen in foreign, other cultural places to what you're used to, and it will get you out of a rut. It's also time between now and the 26th of April to undertake a new area of higher learning. Your mind is more receptive with Uranus here, more open, more available to the information that the divine wants to give you. So if you've been umming and ahhing about studying something important, this is your omen, your sign to go for it. While Uranus is moving through this last hurrah in the 9th house of higher learning. So these things can all manifest quite suddenly and out of the blue. All of these things I've been talking about because Uranus is a quick, fast energy. But I do just want to say, my Virgo friends, that if you are thinking about studying something of a higher nature, you may like to consider doing my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass, a 15-hour deep dive into the energy of the nodes and how it affects us at eclipse season. I'm offering 50% off the usual price for this enormous course, and so it's absolute bargain at the moment. It'll also allow you to dip your toe into the Royal Stars Academy advanced level, and many of you I know are interested in studying advanced astrology. This might give you a taste of what you can experience with me at the Royal Stars Academy. If you need an astrology reading for any question at all, but particularly as we're coming up to Valentine's Day and we're perhaps all thinking about love, there's a $50 off bonus at the moment for my Ask a Question reading. And so if you're interested in either of these two opportunities, you can get your codes, Virgo, by my newsletter to make this purchase. It's so easy. If you're subscribed, you'll get the newsletter. The codes are there. Just use them. Or you can simply go to my homepage. There's a website specials section at my homepage. The codes are there too. Just use them to make your purchase if you want to learn more astrology or get a reading from me. Leo, lovely Leos. Well, did you know, Leo, you are about to have a really mammoth couple of weeks? It's so exciting. And this is because Uranus is moving through Leo's 10th house. That's Leo rising sun or moon people, through your 10th house for the final time in your life. He will never be here again. He is going to transform your career because he's on a mission. He's only got until the 26th of April to accomplish what he needs to accomplish in this area of your life. What is he going to do for you? Well, I just need to tell you firstly, Leo, if you can hear a whirring sound in the background of this recording, it's because it is stinking hot here today. It's 44 degrees Celsius or 110 Fahrenheit. I simply cannot have my air conditioning off. So it's making a rowdy noise in the background, and I apologize if that disrupts your enjoyment of this reading. So we are now in a stage of Uranus getting jiggy with it regarding the 10th house, and this might see some of you suddenly get the career of your dreams, suddenly get that career rise to popularity and recognition that you've been working towards for so long. Here it comes rushing in now, Leo. You might get a career opportunity to be more authentic, more in tune with what your heart really wants for your life now. Bring it on, Uranus. We are so ready. Now, that said, many Leo people may actually consider quitting their career between now and 26th of April and just changing direction completely. If Uranus hasn't already done that for you over the last 7 years, it might be coming in thick and fast and strong for you, Leo, now. So you are likely to find that you end up with a completely different career situation after the 26th of April. Be that in the career you're currently in or in a completely different field. But change is at the helm. Uranus brings change, suddenly, unexpectedly, shockingly, and sometimes brilliantly as well, especially if Uranus is well placed and well dignified and well aspected in your natal chart. For some people, eccentric career paths might open up for you. Things that you never imagined you would ever do, suddenly you find yourself doing for a career. Also, Uranus transiting for the final time in your 10th house is a great placement if you want to do anything independent in career, creating your own career, freelancing, running and establishing your own business, being an innovator in some kind of a field can also be represented here. You are on a mission to make it happen if you haven't done so already over the last 7 years. You want to do career on your terms, in your way. So there'll be, a lot more, or rather a lot less tolerance of restrictive careers, of hierarchical careers, of government type jobs, of sort of rule-based careers. You want freedom now in career. You want to go your own way and do your own thing in career. So yeah, if you're in a restricted, inauthentic situation career-wise, the energetic pull might be just too much and you might have a big change. And I just want to say, as one friend to another, if you feel that pull and it's almost irresistible, do be careful that you've got a safety net, okay? I love you, my Leo friends. I don't want anyone to be left in the lurch because Uranus has come and turned everything topsy-turvy. Have a safety net, a new job to go to, or, a redundancy package that you can lean into while you establish your new life or your new career. Make sure you've got something to hold space for you, as they say, at this time. There can be sudden changes, as I've just described, and ups and downs, not only in your career, but in your boss's life. So one day you might have the boss from hell, and the next day he just becomes as meek as a kitten, and you're like, man, this guy, who gets him? Uranus is eccentric at best, and so the behavior of your boss might be eccentric, or they might, change on a dime. Very volatile roller coaster ride with a boss. Another way this can express is that you have a boss who is very Uranian, very into new technologies, very interested in astrology, really knows how to work new systems like the internet, very into social media. Bosses who are totally into Uranian stuff can be the case, or bosses who are real trendsetters as well might also be how this might manifest too. Yes, but just expect, if your bosses aren't changing, I've got one person one day and a new boss the next day, that the singular boss might become very Uranian and act eccentric and unusual. The good thing is Uranus is a very friendly energy, so it's likely that between now and the 26th of April, you're going to be perhaps develop a really good friendship
with your boss, really good camaraderie, and that can be a real blessing, of course, in the 10th house. You might even develop a camaraderie with people in high places of authority, people who can help your careers to rise or your worldly opportunities to increase. So these people of influence, these people of power, which is what the 10th house represents, they may be giving you a leg up in some field, any field at all, or they may surprise you with a blessing or an opportunity or a chance that you never imagined might come your way. So anyone in a position of power can be your friend with Uranus here for the final time in the 10th house. Also, speaking of people in positions of power, this is also a house of fame. And some of you, if you haven't had this experience already while Uranus has transited your 7th house, some of you might experience rising up into fame of some sort, that overnight sensation kind of energy. Uranus is quick and fast and surprising. Some of you might suddenly become so popular. You've got a video that goes viral, or you release a paper, a scientific paper about something, and the whole scientific community is just talking about it. Oh my God, it's so amazing. So a quick rise to fame in any area that has to do with your career and what you do to give to the world. This is the house of what we offer to the world, even what we offer as a legacy for when we're gone. Some people, I grew up in a farming community, their farm was their legacy that they left to their children when they were gone, and building it up and making it beautiful and making it fabulous to pass on to their children was a big part of the legacy they wanted to leave. So I've gone down that road into what the 10th house is all about, but you could become famous for the beautiful farm that you leave your children, because that's the legacy you're wanting to leave. Whatever it is that is the legacy, my friends, that you are hoping to leave to those who come after you, that it can cause you to have a quick rise to fame. It can cause you to have a lot of success. Whatever is the legacy that you are working on, or the career that you are working on. Now, you've probably experienced over the last 7 years that you don't really like working for others. You'd like to be a bit more independent in the workplace because of this transit. That energy will ease off once Uranus leaves here on the 26th of April, and you may be more willing or capable or able to work in a team situation after this. But, for Leo people, you do have Taurus as the 10th house. You'll be a bit more grounded after this energy finishes up. And you may find, as I said, that you'll be able to work again in more structured careers. After all, this Uranus transit is temporary. It's not like, unless you've got it here in your natal chart, it's not a permanent state of being. It's a temporary thing. But it's probably helped you to become authentic, and if he hasn't done so already, he's going to before the 26th of April, help you be more authentic about what you're doing and how you're doing it. Now, this is a sign, or rather a house, I should say, of leadership. And Uranus here wants revolution. Revolution publicly and in the world around us. And you may be called, Leo, to be some sort of revolutionary leader. And that, by doing so, it will increase your social stature and your social recognition. So, speak up. Speak up, my friends, if you need to. It's just so interesting. Like, I'm a Leo sun person, and I don't see myself necessarily as a revolutionary leader. A lot of people have said to me, Ksenia, we need you to speak up at this time, because, people need to know. People need to understand what's going on in the world. Well, I mean, that's their perception of who I am, of course, but I don't really see myself as a revolutionary leader. However, I have just started another YouTube channel on World Astrology, where I'll be analysing current world trends. And so this is kind of that energy, I guess you could say. The link is in the description if you want to follow along. I did talk about this in the introduction, of course. But if, that could be the kind of energy that we're seeing. It's not that you have to get out there with your banners and protest, although often that is a good thing to do. But you can be a revolutionary leader by just speaking out at work about something that you feel is unjust. You can be a revolutionary leader by sharing, your analysis of world charts and charts of events on a YouTube channel, for example. But being that revolutionary leader may be asked of you now. or you may be just simply inspired, Leo, to go down that road because of Uranus's last hurrah energy here in the 10th house of leadership, and Uranus being an energy of revolution. So exciting times for my lovely Leos. Also, Leo, I've got an exciting offer or two just for you. If you've ever wanted a reading with me, now is the perfect time. There's $50 off my Ask a Question reading up until Valentine's Day. So it's good if you've got a love question, but you could also ask a career question, anything like that. $50 off is quite the deal. Not only that, but Leo, I am offering 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass. This is a massive monster-sized course for anyone who loves to really dive deep into the energy of the nodes and how it affects our lives on every level, in every way. And it's perfect for eclipse season because the nodes are what causes eclipses. So if you want 50% off that masterclass only for a short time, just grab the code to make your purchase. The codes, it's really easy, my friends. The codes to purchase either the reading or the masterclass are in my latest newsletter if you're subscribed to that. Or you can go to my website homepage. There's a special section on the homepage. You can just grab the codes there, make your purchase, get your discount. Thank you, Leo. How lovely, Cancer. Uranus is in his natural house, the 11th house here, for the very last time in your entire life. So you only have a short period of time to enjoy this energy of Uranus here, and then he's gone forever, for good, out of your 11th house. After the 26th of April, it is all over Red Rover, and you are in a whole new Uranian energy. So this is a special, special time when you get to enjoy the last hurrah of Uranus for your lifetime in the 11th house by transit. Cancer, I just, before I get into it, I just want to say I'm so sorry for the sound of the air conditioning in the background. It's 44 degrees here today. That's 44 degrees Celsius, 110 Fahrenheit. It's nasty, and I really need my air conditioning going, so I do apologize if it inconveniences your listening joy in any way. Now, let me talk about this. Transit of Uranus, final time in the 11th house. Well, this is going to bring in, if it hasn't done so already in the last 7 years, it's going to bring in many new friends into your life between now and the 26th of April. And these will be eccentric friends, unusual friends, maybe even revolutionary friends. You are going to get a whole lot of new friends in the next few weeks. And I feel, Cancer, that you won't be very judgmental about these types of people. You will be welcoming friends into your life from all different social classes, all walks of life, often very genius, intellectual kinds of friends with interesting and progressive ideas. Many of you might be welcoming in friends who work with Uranian things like social media, the internet, innovations, inventions, new technology, social movements, interconnected systems. These are all areas where people are, you'll be connecting with people who have been your friends. So I just have to laugh. My husband is a Cancer sun, as an illustration of this energy. And he's setting up his Kung Fu class of the Ip Man lineage in Silicon Valley. Go figure. He's going to be welcoming in a whole lot of new friends, new acquaintances that he will make who work in Uranian fields in Silicon Valley. Go figure. Astrology is incredible. Absolutely incredible. Now, I will just say that this is a house of gainfulness, and it's big gains in Vedic astrology that we see from the 11th house. It's winnings. So you may experience surprising big gains and winnings if you've ever invested, especially about 7 years ago, if you invested in Uranian things, social media, the internet, technology, interconnected systems, all of those things. If you got involved in those things, let's say you got a career in Silicon Valley, boom, you're about to really do very well for yourself between now and the 26th of April. There can be a lot of changeability. Uranus is a bit of a roller coaster ride, so it may not be a walk in the park, but you will usually end up coming out the other side of Uranus's transit through Taurus with a lot of blessing. A lot of blessing for those Uranian investments that you may have made. Not only that, but there can be changes in earnings that are coming for you between now and the 26th of April. And because this is a natural house of Uranus, maybe those earnings might go up and increase. That's some positive news for many people I know, Cancer. a big relief for many people I know as well. I will just say, though, the unfortunate thing is that Uranus is not well dignified in the sign of Taurus. He's actually considered to be in one of his fall positions in modern astrology. So the earnings may go up, but they may not be as big as you maybe initially hoped for. Just because when a planet is in its debilitation, it just doesn't have as much oomph as it would have if it was in a strong sign. That's all. But yes, you could expect that your earnings might go up. Your friendship circles might also increase as well and grow because of this energy. You're going to have more joy in being friendly with people. You will really like getting alongside people in a more detached way, but you'll still enjoy, socializing, connecting, making, like-minded associations, etc. With this transit, because Uranus is a friendly energy. Now, whether those friendships continue after the 26th of April, that's up to you. You might change your perspective, or your energy might shift in some way, but certainly between now and the 26th of April, you'll be feeling a bit more friendly, wanting to connect, wanting to go out and be quite social. In the lower vibration of this energy, you might find that you have sudden breakups. This is an on again, off again energy. Uranus rules electricity, and you know what we do with an electric switch. We switch it on, we switch it off, we switch it on, we switch it off. Same with Uranus energy. So you might have had sudden breakups and makeups with friends over the last 7 years even. On again, off again. Even you might have been more physically distant from your friends for the last 7 years. Well, that will all come to an end after the 26th of April. Friendships will steady again, will become a bit more solid again. You might have more makeups and solidification with friendships. And the distance between you and your friends may lessen after the 26th of April when Uranus leaves. So that's quite a good energy to look forward to, things settling down in the realm of friendships after this energy finishes. Don't forget, my Cancer friends, also, that inspirations can come through friendships and like-minded people, that it's by connecting. This is a reason why you should make the most of this energy to network and be social, because you're going to just get so inspired and uplifted by these people. It's going to be so good for you to connect. So, staying at home like a little hermit is lovely. I'm a Pisces. I love that sort of thing most of the time, and many Cancer people do as well. But it is in your best interest to get out there and connect, because there could be amazing changes in your life that come through that. Revolutionary experiences, aha moments, epiphanies, opportunities, inspirations to really rise up in life through who you connect with and who you meet. Just on a final note, this is an energy of community, but big communities like subcultures, the goth movement or the punk movement and that sort of thing are represented by Uranus in the 11th house. So some of you might be connecting with some sort of movement or subculture or even a political agenda at this time, and in some way, shape or form, it's very important that you do between now and the 26th of April. This is also an energy, I have to say, for Cancer people, of revolution in the 11th house. So you might be stirred up to have your say, to protest, to be seen, to stand for something because of Uranus's energy here. And indeed, given the current state of the world, particularly in Commonwealth countries that are fast becoming totalitarian, especially Australia, it is time that we started taking action, if we can, without causing harm to ourselves or our loved ones, my beautiful Cancer friends. So if you're inspired in that way over the next few months or few weeks until the 26th of April, do what is on your heart to do, to share with others, to write to political leaders, etc., whatever it is. This is an energy to buy into right now. Now, also, my dear, darling Cancer friends, I want to just let you know, if you are concerned about anything or questioning anything, I have a one question, well, actually, it's Ask Any Question reading that is available now for $50 off the usual price. So if you've been wanting a reading with me, now's your chance to get it until Valentine's Day for an absolute deal. And if you've ever wanted to study astrology with me, then this is your chance, because I am offering 50% off my massive Nodes of the Moon Masterclass. And this is for eclipse season. So only for a short time, because the nodes are what cause eclipses. And if you want to understand how they affect every facet of your life and then some, then this is the class for you. So get the codes that you need to make your purchase of a reading or of the masterclass. You can get them from my latest newsletter if you're subscribed, or you can simply go to my homepage at the website. They are listed there under website specials. Too easy, my friends. Gemini, rising sun or moon people. Well, my gosh, are you ready? Uranus, for the very last time in your life, is moving through the end of the 12th house. This really heralds a brand new beginning, because, well, it's a wrapping up of old endings so that you can begin a new beginning, because Uranus transiting the first house is one of the top 4 transits that will change your life. And that's what's coming for you after the 26th of April. It's all going to begin for you, my Gemini friends. So this is a very important time. Uranus has a lot of work to do to wrap things up, to tie up loose ends in your 12th house before the 26th of April. And he's on a mission to accomplish it before then. So get ready. Now, I have to let you know, Gemini, that it is 44 degrees Celsius, 110 Fahrenheit here where I am today, and it is stinking hot. And so I've got the air conditioner going. It's very noisy and rowdy in the background. I do apologize if it makes your listening pleasure any less. But let's dive into Uranus in the final hurrah of the 12th house for a Gemini person. Well, what this is going to bring you is the chance to break free, to get out of some sort of bondage. If you've been trapped in some way or stuck in your life in some way, if you felt isolated and you haven't enjoyed it, hey, you're a Gemini, of course you're not going to like feeling isolated from things. Well, this is the chance to turn it all around, to change things up, to shake you out of a rut. Uranus wants to liberate you from that bondage, that isolation, that exclusion energy, and help bring you back into connection. Now, a lot of people, let's face it, the last 7 years have been very isolating for a lot of us on the planet. It's been rough times. And this is an energy that may help you stop feeling so isolated between now and the 26th of April. May stop you feeling like you're the odd one out. You might find your tribe, you might find your community now, because Uranus is all about community actually, but a more detached way of being in community. He is connected naturally to the 11th house, which is big communities. So you might find that you connect with people more so now, maybe people on the internet, or you might find your tribe all over the world in some way, because the 12th house is about global energies, like faraway places, and Uranus is the internet. And so there might be this breaking out of isolation or bondage through connections that you make online. Not to mention that you might also be helping other people to break out of their bondage or their isolation in some way by helping them feel connected over the next few weeks until the 26th of April also. There could be, and if this hasn't already happened for you in the last 7 years, then it's going to be bursting forth for you between now and the 26th of April, Gemini, a bursting forth of past life memories. This is the house of our past lives. If you don't believe in past lives, we often see it showing up in our early childhood, our early this life. But there's a bursting up of memories, like a well that comes bubbling up out of the ground, like some water that sort of bubbles up all of a sudden, and like at Yellowstone National Park, you get a geyser going up into the air. Suddenly, all these past life memories come crashing in and rushing in. Oh my God, this is why I am the way I am. This is why that hurt so much when they said this, because I remember that from a past life, or I remember that from my childhood. It's getting back in touch and suddenly being made to see why you are the way you are, and allowing yourself to accept who you are and realize that it's part of what's created your authenticity and made you you. Now, yes, you might realize there's some traumas there, but Uranus can bring healing to that through revelations. This is a house of not skeletons in the closet, but things that we don't even know about. We know when there's a skeleton in our closet. We're just not telling everybody about it. That's 8th house stuff. The 12th house is the house of things that are hidden from even ourselves. We don't know they're going on, but they're going on behind the scenes. And oftentimes these experiences in childhood or experiences in past lives are the reason we have fears and phobias and hang-ups and, psychosomatic problems and stuff like that in this lifetime. And so when I say these things are going to come bursting out, you're going to have revelations about those things. Maybe you have a past life regression and it all makes sense. But once it makes sense, once you understand it, once it's clear and no longer hidden, it has no power over you. You're free of that. The soul is restored. So I'm excited for you, Gemini people. A lot of you will be having revelations that free your soul from the past restrictions that have been hidden from you. Thank you, Uranus. This is some of the most important work Uranus is going to do here. This is also a time when you might be a bit psychic, and of course that's connected to these past life memories bubbling forward, whether you have an official past life regression experience, service or not. You can have it in your dream life. You might dream about something and it might set you free in your dreams. Uranus wants to set us free. He wants to make us more authentic to the lives that we are living. He wants to shock us out of our rut and have that sudden awakening. So just be prepared. This bursting forth of memories and awakenings that are happening could be leave you reeling, leave you shaking. So if that should happen and you're like, oh my God, be kind to yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Honor your needs at that time, because it could be it's not going to cause a soul fracture, but it could cause you to sort of become a bit disoriented about your life. A bit surreal, I guess, would be the word for it. Now, the 12th house is also a house of deep research. So many of you Gemini between now and the 26th of April are going to want to jump deep into Uranian things for the last time. Maybe you want to go deep with astrology or science, or looking at social systems, or exploring what it means to have PTSD, or exploring technology or electronics, anything Uranian, air flight or modern architecture. Like Uranus has connections to all those things. You might be doing some research into such things now. Uranus also wants to innovate and break barriers in readiness for his sojourn through your first house that's coming up. He wants to introduce you to new things. So he might be, for example, it could look like him introducing you to a new resort or a new day spa or a new holiday retreat or a new spiritual workshop that you're just like, this is the best thing ever, and you really start to, I'm going to come here every year, this is so great, or I'm going to go to this day spa once every 6 months because it just really floats my boat. It's you really breaking through maybe some barriers in your soul through some pleasurable retreat experience perhaps, and becoming more progressive with what you're doing. Maybe you decide, I'm sick of having shoddy toenails. I'm going to get a pedicure from now on. The 12th house rules feet, and Uranus wants to modernize things and refresh things and liberate things and revolutionize things. It could literally be revolutionizing your toenails. You might get the most strangest, wildest color on your toenails with your pedicure that you've ever dreamed of having. It could look like that. Okay, if you've ever done astrology in the past, it's likely that this energy, and if you're watching this, it's probably the case, it's likely that that energy is going to come forward even more so now that Uranus is direct for the final time in your 12th house. It's going to come out in you. Your abilities with astrology are going to really step forward. I know when I had this transit some years ago now, I just felt the pull to astrology. I was very Christian at the time and had been told it was of the devil. But I couldn't help myself. I had circumstances in my life I was trying to find answers for. Religion didn't have the answers, and so I started searching elsewhere, and I came across astrology in a magazine or something, and it really spoke to me. Bless the person who wrote that little article. And I was like, you know what, there might be something in this. I think I need to look further. And so I really burst out of my restrictions religiously that had kept me from doing astrology, and I am firmly of the belief that I have done astrology in a past life before, because it just makes so much sense so easily to me, and I can't get enough of all sorts of it. I am sure that it's part of my psyche to have done this before and to continue doing it now. It's also in my chart that that's the case, but I'm not here to talk about me. What I'm saying, this is an illustration of me coming back to who I was in a past life, an astrologer, and it happened little bit by little bit by little bit, till the point when I was awake, and by the time Uranus moved into my first house, I was on board with astrology and I was going to go for it. So this may be the kind of thing that's happening for many Gemini people who realize they've known astrology before and they want to jump back into it deeply again in this lifetime. This is also a house that, a bit like the 9th house, that has to do with overseas. And my Gemini friends, if you travel overseas between now and the 26th of April, it's going to be very exhilarating for you. There might be surprises and changes that occur in your life if you do take a long distance trip or go to a foreign place. Yes, there could be surprises and twists and turns. There might be a bit of instability, but let me just say, if your life needs to change and you're sick of the way things are and you can't stand it a moment longer, then you need to take a trip. It will change you for the good. It will help your life become more authentic and liberated and free in the way you want it to, especially in preparation for this transit of Uranus in your first house. It's going to be so life-changing for the next 7 years. I remember at this time when I had this transit, I took a trip with my ex-husband, who was a Elvis impersonator at the time. He won a trip to Tennessee to go to Graceland. And we took a trip together. It was quite a life-changing trip to the beautiful state of Tennessee, a place I wish we were moving to. Maybe one day that will be on the cards. I don't know. But yeah, that was my overseas trip, and it really shook my husband and I out of a rut in a big way to have taken that trip overseas. It brought in so much change into our lives to have taken that trip when we did, at the point of this final hurrah of Uranus through my, and his I might add as well, he was a Pisces rising too, my 12th house some years ago. So that's the end of the story for Uranus through all the houses, but I want to just tell you, Gemini, before you go, I'm offering $50 off my Ask a Question of Me reading. You can ask anything you like, but it is valid until Valentine's Day, so it's a good time to ask a love question or get a love reading for $50 off. Or if you're into deep research of Uranian things as he transits through your 12th house, you might be interested in getting 50% off my Nodes of the Moon Masterclass. Now, this is a really deep dive into the nodes and what they're all about. Just for eclipse season, this special will be. And 50% off is a huge amount because this is a hefty course. It's 15 hours long. So much to tell you about how the nodes affect your life in a deep, personal way. How do you get these discounts? Well, if you subscribe to my newsletter, the codes for the discounts are in my latest newsletter. Otherwise, you can just go to my website homepage. There's a special section on that homepage that has all the codes you need to make your discount purchases. So, my dear darling friends, that is what I wanted to share with you. It's a great deal. Don't miss out, and have a wonderful time until the 26th of April as Uranus does his last liberating business in the sign of Taurus.